everyone, welcome back to my channel. So we are starting another weekly vlog. It is Monday, start of the work week, which is not so fun. Wish that I could stay at home and read books all day, but can't do that. I have you in a different location because I'm actually about to make dinner for the night, and I was like, I just want to pop on here and quickly give you an update on what I've decided to read for the week. But before we get started with this vlog, make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you leave me comments below on anything that, if you've read these books, what your thoughts are, or maybe even a book that you think that I should be reading, and put it on my TBR. Also, make sure that you hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, become a Patreon member. I do giveaways. We have the poll up for you to pick which book we start with next month. And then also I'm going to be adding on sprints. I'm going to be adding on a whole bunch of things as we keep going and growing, and you will get access to content that is not here on YouTube. So let's talk about what I've decided to read. So I do not have an actual picture of the short story novella at the moment that I'm reading, but I have decided to start reading book 4.5 in the Blood Gray series, which is called Blood Dream. And this is a story with Leo and Cassia, where it's right after the embassy leaves. I guess how she's gonna, like, her first couple nights in Orthros without the embassy there. And I'm kind of concerned. And the reason why is because everybody, if you have read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, which is the novella that came after the trilogy, it was kind of like Feyre and Rhysand and like the whole gang together during Christmas, right? And a lot of people didn't enjoy that book. I did, but a lot of people didn't. But I feel like I'm about 15% of the way through, so it's not a very big book. But I feel like it's kind of like that. Now, it could change by the time I keep reading it, but I feel like it's going to be kind of like that Christmas novella that, you know, Feyre and Rhysand and the whole gang is together, you know, in Valaris. So we're in Orthros, and you have, you know, Nadora and Kia and Mac and Lyros and Leah and Cassia and everybody together, and they're all getting ready to go to the coffee shop, and they're all determining which coffee shop they need to go to. And so, I don't know. We're going to see how that goes. So I started that on lunch today, and then I've also started The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. So I am 19 chapters into this, so probably a good almost halfway, and I do not know what I'm reading. Okay, if anybody follows me on Goodreads, which my link is in the description box below, if anybody follows me on there, you would see my update that I posted today that says, what on earth am I reading? Because you are following Lore. Is that her name? Yeah, Lore. And I guess you start out where she works for poison runners, which I guess is kind of like drug runners, and she gets caught, and so now she is tasked to go to this kingdom, the ball get together thing, to be a part of the court, because she is supposed to be spying on the Prince of Sun. The Prince of Sun, I think it is. Anyway, the prince is who she's supposed to be spying on, because they're trying to find out if he is in collaboration with a neighboring kingdom. And so she's trying to get close to him, but yet Gabe, who is tasked to be around her the whole time and act like her cousin or whatever, who's introducing her to the court and political society, they kind of have a weird relationship going on. And then you have Bastian, who is the prince, which he seems kind of weird. Like, everything seems weird at the moment. Like, all I keep thinking about is these characters are not, like, fully fleshed out, and they're not deep characters, and they're not, I don't know, the relationships with each other are weird. The way they talk with each other is weird. The whole story is weird. I'm lost. I'm not going to lie. I'm 45% of the way through this book, and I'm lost. I don't quite understand what is happening, because she can channel Mortem or something, which is like a power that you get from the dead. So she's like a necromancer, I guess. And she just found out that the horse that she tried to resurrect is now living again. Like I said, guys, I'm lost. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I have been reading this book. I'm almost halfway through, and I don't even know a single thing. Like, I can tell you what Lore has done, but I don't feel like her friendship or relationship with Gabe or Bastion is even there. So if either one of them are the love interest, I don't feel it. But I feel like one of them is going to be the love interest. I am not into the story. I just feel like these characters are very flat and one-dimensional. They don't have like much depth to them, like I said. And even the world, like, it's not even fully told what is happening or why the world is like this. Like, you don't learn any of that. So I just feel like you're thrown into this world and you don't know anything. So we're going to see how this goes, guys. I may have picked another dud. Who knows? I am just at a loss at this point because all these books that sound amazing or that people are loving, I'm not really into. So either it's me or it's the books I'm picking because they're not hitting for me. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully Blood Dream will be really good and I can be into that as well. But that is Monday. I'm going to go ahead and get dinner started. I am going to probably get online and play with some friends tonight and maybe read some more. I don't know if I'm going to pick up Blood Dream or The Foxglove King, but we're going to see which one we go with. But hope everyone's having a good Monday, and hopefully I can get you some more footage of what we do day to day. All right, guys, I will see you when I have another reading update. Bye. Hello everyone. So today is Saturday and I had recorded a video a couple days ago where I was updating you on what I read. I'm deleting that because I have had the week where it's been like 110 degrees outside. The humidity has been absolutely so ridiculous that you step outside for not even 5 minutes and you're just sweating. It's so hot. It's so muggy. And so I think the heat had gotten to me a little bit this week where my thoughts, whenever I was trying to explain them in that video, weren't really coming across very well. And I was all over the place, and I had a little bit of, I want to say, heat sickness this week because I would be so drained. I would be at work and I would have a lot of energy, and we did a lot of like redecorating at the office, moving things around, just like really hard stuff because we're getting ready for our busy season that's going to be starting in October. And I think that doing that, even though it was in the air conditioning and everything was fine, it was so hot outside that by the time I got home at night, I was so exhausted, so drained. I think I was even nauseous at one point. So I think the heat really got to me. So we're just going to cut that video out of there. I think I went ahead and started the video on Monday, which is great. Start of the week. You know what I was starting out with, but let's go ahead and just kind of wrap up what I did this week and just start fresh tomorrow because today is Saturday. I just got done editing and uploading today's video that's going to be going out, which is quite a doozy because the random number generator selected my September TBR and it is quite a mashup. And of course, it decided to start three 3 new series for me. So I'm like, that's great, random number generator. I'm so happy you did that. So we're going to see how September goes. So definitely make sure that I hope you watch that video. That's going up today, but since you're going to be seeing this on Tuesday, it'll be last Saturday. So definitely check that out. Let's just wrap up some of these books, but I do want to let you guys know that I did reconstruct kind of my description box below the videos, where now you have my link to my Goodreads. You also have my link to my Instagram, which I will be more active on. I'm going to make that a big priority. I haven't been very active on it lately, but I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to be putting some polls up to do some videos, kind of update everyone on what I'm reading, different things like that. So definitely make sure you're following me on Instagram. And then also there is a link to my Patreon below, which we've already went through that. Make sure you're a member so you can get in on all of that stuff. And then also I am putting my Pango Books account down below. So any of the books that you have seen that have came out from my book unhauls, or books that during my weekly vlog I say I'm going to be getting rid of, I'm going to be posting over on my Pango Books account, also on a couple Facebook groups that I'm in as well. So you may have seen me through some of those Facebook groups or not getting rid of some of these books, but also my Pango Books account. So if you want to head on over there and follow me and just kind of check my store out from time to time, because even though I don't do an unhaul very often, week to week I seem to be getting rid of a couple books because I've either read them and I just don't enjoy them and I don't want to keep them, or I've been, looking at my shelves and I'm like, I'm just getting rid of this book because I just don't want to read it anymore. So if you just head on over there, I try to make them pretty, affordable and cheap and everything. There are going to be some special editions that come out of either the book boxes or ones that I have pre-ordered and I've gotten in and that I am no longer interested in reading. So definitely check those out. So if you're interested, check the description below. So let's just get into this wrap up, guys. So I have my coffee here because this is going to be a doozy, literally a doozy. I don't know if I updated my thoughts on the Foxglove King. So I ended up rating this like a 2-star. Did not have a good time at all. I can see why people would enjoy this book. I'm not saying it's a terrible book or that it has a terrible plot or terrible writing, because it was, in those aspects, good. Now, it didn't do it for me. I didn't enjoy the characters. I didn't enjoy some of the plot lines. I didn't enjoy how they interacted with each other. So basically, you are following our female main character, and she is a poison runner, which I guess would be kind of like a drug runner, in our world. And she works with this guy. She gets caught. So now she is tasked into watching the prince and seeing if he is colluding with a neighboring kingdom. And she gets close to the prince. She has Gabe with her that's supposed to be watching her, making sure that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. So both of these male characters, it's kind of like a love triangle setup in a way. But none of these characters were fleshed out. I didn't care about a single one of them. I felt like Gabe was very monotoned. I felt like he had no depth to his character. I didn't care about if he liked our female main character or if he didn't. He didn't really show a whole lot of anything, really. He was very one-dimensional, and so was the prince. The prince was very one-dimensional as well. He would say things, and like as if you would feel for them. I just couldn't feel for them. I hope I edited that out very well, because that coffee did not go down the right way. So the characters themselves had no depth. The plot was very intriguing. I liked the plot. I liked the build-up. However, I don't feel like the world was fleshed out. I felt like this was a very slow-moving plot. There's no romance in here at all. I mean, maybe a little bit in my eyes, but nothing of what I would expect from a fantasy romance. And me as a reader, I have to have some romance, because if I don't have romance, I'm not that interested in the book. It doesn't have to be like overtly spicy romance. Like, I'm not into that all the time, but just something where I feel like there's some angst, there's some slow burn, that maybe, a will they, won't they type of thing. But I got none of that from here. It could even be a fade to black situation and I still got nothing. So I ended up DNFing this because I personally, in my reading tastes, I didn't feel like there was any depth to the world, to the characters. The plot did not seem to be fleshed out very well. I don't feel like it moved at a pace that would keep you interested. I don't feel like the characters themselves interacting with each other, that there was any feelings in there or that would make you want to keep reading or root for one or the other. The next book is called The Hemlock Queen, and I saw where the book was going. Like, I can kind of see where the author is going with the whole story. I'm just not interested in reading on. I can see why people like it, but I'm just not interested at all in carrying on with this series. It lost my interest. I'm happy that I gave it a shot, but just me personally, I'm kind of done with it. So those are my thoughts on the Foxglove King. I know that they're kind of random and just kind of all over the place, but that's how I felt reading this book. I felt like we were doing one thing and then all of a sudden we were doing something else. That a character would say something or do something and it just didn't make sense, or it wasn't fleshed out. It didn't make you feel in the moment what you're supposed to feel. So that's just my thoughts on here. Definitely not going to be continuing on with this series. So the next book that I did read to kind of get my reading morale up was Blood Dream by Vila Roth. Now, this is book 4.5 in the Blood Grace series. You're supposed to read it in between book 4 and book 5, which is Blood Sanctuary Part 2, which is book 4, and Blood Union Part 1, which is book 5. Now, I thought that this book was going to be kind of like a Sarah J. Maas novella with the Court of Frost and Starlight situation, where it was going to be something that was like a filler. It was going to have no relevance. You could just skip it and not even worry about it. However, I was wrong. I will admit when I'm wrong. So this book was really, really good because it bridges the gap between the ending of book 4 and the beginning of book 5. And not only does it bridge that gap with a couple nights in there of what Cassia, Leo, and the whole gang is doing, but also it gives you more insight into what Cassia is going through internally, what she is struggling with, how her and Leo's relationship is kind of different and changing, and how Leo feels. So I feel like the things revolving around Leo and Cassia are going to be very prevalent in book 5. I haven't started it yet, but I'm really happy I read this, because if how she's feeling, what she's going through internally, the battles within herself, the things that Leo is trying to come to terms with and work with Cassia on, and how he's dealing with his thoughts, if that comes into play in Blood Union, then I'm very happy that I did read this, because it helps me understand what we're setting up for. Because if I would have went just into book 5, I may be lost. It being like, why is Cassia feeling this way? Why is Leo acting this way? Why is Xandra and Kia and Nadora doing these things? So, and why is this coffee house a big deal? So I'm really happy I read this. I can't give too many details away because, again, this is very far along in the series, and I don't want to ruin that for anybody. So if you're interested in the Blood Grace series, I do suggest not skipping this novella. Now, I say novella, it's like maybe 140, 150 pages. It's not very big, but it is well worth the time. It is well worth the read, and I honestly feel like read books 1 through 4, and then read Blood Price, which is the prequel book. It's about 300 pages. Read that after book 4. I feel like you're going to have a more profound experience with it, and you're going to connect to the characters a lot more. Then also read Blood Dream, which is book 4.5, which I just finished up. And then I also finished up Blood Legacy, which is like the prequel novella before the prequel. That makes sense. I suggest reading all 3 of those books after book 4 because it's going to make a lot more sense. You're going to really enjoy the cast of characters, and it's not going to seem like out of left field wondering why you're introducing these characters when they're not prevalent at the start of the series. But I did read Blood Legacy. Now, this book was extremely short. I think I read it in like an hour and a half, maybe an hour most, in one sitting. It's very fast. It's maybe like 50 or 60 pages if I was to guess, because I read it on my Kindle. And this is one of the 2 books that you get for free when you sign up for Vila Roth's newsletter on her website at viloroth.com. So you can get these 2 books, Blood Dream and Blood Legacy, emailed to you where you can download them on your Kindle for free, and it's well worth it. So Blood Legacy is following Tamini and I can't even think of the guy's name. Darn it. You guys know I'm terrible at that. But it's a very quick read. You don't even know who these characters are. They have not been introduced in the Bloodgray series at all right now. But she had saved this guy or whatever, and now he's back for revenge, and basically she's trying to stop him. She's going to like blood shackle him and take him back to Castra Justra, which is where Rudhira, which is the first Blood Prince, is commander of, and she's going to take him there because Hesperenes are not supposed to seek revenge. They're not supposed to harm anyone. They're very like loving, free-spirited type of people, and there's a lot of miscommunication going on. She has, kind of one thought process of how he is, but really it's like entirely different. And I really liked it. So I'm hoping these characters do come into play later on in the series. I really, really hope. So I absolutely loved Blood Legacy, of course. I have just been devouring this world. Absolutely love it. I can't wait to start book 5, which I don't know when I'm going to do that. But I can't wait to start book 5 nonetheless. So after I got done with those 2 books, my spirits were uplifted. I was like, yes, I'm ready to dive back into more books that are on my TBR. I'm ready to, get back into a fantasy romance. And I picked up book 2, which is Long Live the Elf Queen. So this is the second book in this series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or a trilogy. However, I read Bow Before the Elf Queen, I think back in June or July, and I wanted to continue on, so I decided to pick up book 2. And as I am listening to this throughout the week, I have realized that this book has taken an entirely different turn. I felt like I was reading in a world that was entirely different than what we set up in Bow Before the Elf Queen. So you are following Leala, who was mated to the prince whenever she was born, but her mother fled with her and gave her to a servant who raised her in a human town far away from the kingdom because she didn't want that for her daughter, and her mother and father were killed and all that stuff. So she was raised by this servant knowing what had happened. Nothing was hidden from her. And all of a sudden, the king has come to collect her and take her back, to this. And you're following her on that journey. They're trying to sever the mate bond, all of these things. You have a whole cast of characters that come into play as well that go on this journey with them. And I really enjoyed book 1. Absolutely loved it. I don't think that it was an over astounding 5-star read. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Loved the characters, loved Leala, and I loved the guy's name, whatever it is. And then I decided to jump into book 2, Long Live the Elf Queen, because Bookish Box had announced their special edition that continued kind of the same graphics and everything else like that on the book. So I wanted to have a matching set. I'm glad I didn't buy it. So glad I didn't buy it. So Long Live the Elf Queen picks up right where the first book ends. However, I can't give too many details because it is going to be very spoilery if I do. And if you have enjoyed this book series or if you want to read it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But these characters, I feel like, are night and day from book 1 and book 2. You have Leala, who is very caring and giving and loving in book 1, and then in book 2 she's stubborn, she's selfish, she's mean, her whole attitude and everything changes. Now, granted, I understand due to the way that the plot and the story had ended and started, I understand why the author made such a vast change in her personality and her character, but I feel like it was too much at one time. So if it was gradually throughout the book, I would have understood more, but whenever it was just like complete night and day, like if you finished book 1 and immediately picked up book 2, it's like a shock to you. It's like, whoa, who is this character? Because this is not who I followed in book 1. The prince, king, whoever he is, that is her mate, he is just like a marshmallow. Like, he just lets people walk all over him. Like, I don't feel like he is, an alpha male. I don't feel like he's someone that can protect Leala. I don't feel much towards him. And as far as the romance, I don't see it. I don't feel it. I feel like the author is telling you that they love each other, telling you that they are mates, telling you that they want to continue this, but you don't feel it. Like, you don't feel it whenever you're reading it, because it's a lot of telling and not showing. Now, there are a lot of good quotes and a lot of things that he says to her that, you could highlight and use and love. But as far as, loving the relationship, I just don't feel that. I don't feel any of it. And that's sad because, I wanted to love it. I wanted to continue the series because I did like book 1. But it just fell flat for me. The way that the storyline and the plot and everything, like, you're just going from town to town. You're doing absolutely nothing. This is like a filler book, if I was to say. If it was a trilogy, this is a filler book that you have to read because you need to know what the characters are doing and where the plot is and all of that stuff. But it's not entertaining. There's nothing in there that is entertaining. You're being told a lot of things and not shown. You're just sitting around basically doing nothing and just having conversations. And for my reading style and my reading preference, I did not enjoy that. So I gave it 2 stars. So my week went kind of like a roller coaster. Like, we started down here with the Foxglove King, and then it went up to a really big high because I had Blood Dream and Blood Legacy that were absolutely phenomenal. And then we tanked with Long Live the Elf Queen. So that's just how my week's been. The heat's been miserable. I think yesterday was our last, supposed hot day for at least a week, where we're going to have a little bit of a reprieve, which I can't wait for. However, I think that the heat just got to me, and that may have affected how I liked, Long Live the Elf Queen. But I just don't think that the heat had anything to do with it, because my thoughts are still the same, even feeling better today. So I'm just not going to continue on with it. Just not going to do that. So again, another dead. This is why I did that random number generator video, because I'm just like, I guess I can't pick good books. So maybe my phone can pick good books for me. So I have quite some chunkers on there. So I can't wait to start those in September. I did download Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood on my Audible. I may start reading that because I have it physically and I have it on Audible. So I know that I put that in my September TBR, but it may end up being read next week. May not. I don't know. I also downloaded on my Kindle Blood Union Part 5, so I may start reading that. And then I also downloaded Fairytale by Victoria Lancet. Is that her name? And the reason why I did that is because Arcane Society had announced that they are doing a special edition of this book, and I've never heard of it. It's like 700 or 800 pages. It's supposed to be like a gothic horror fantasy, unconventional romance. There's a lot of trigger warnings. I've never heard of it, but from what I understand, it's about a girl who gets a letter that her father died, and she never knew her father, so now she has to go back to Fairydale where he lived, and there's like a lot of mystery and a lot of weird things that happen. And I think that there is like a love triangle, but it's not really a love triangle, and it's kind of like an unconventional romance. I'm not sure, but this is what the picture looks like that I had Googled, and it got my attention. I was like, ooh, I'm really into this. And then here is what it looks like on my Kindle, and I'm just like, I don't think I like that cover. I don't like that at all. So I don't know. Those are two different vibes, you guys. I'll put them side by side here. Two different vibes. I don't know. I downloaded it. Maybe I'll read it. There's no audio for it, so I would have to read it on my Kindle, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. But I didn't put it on my September TBR because it might be one of those books that I dip in and out of, just on my lunches or like in between books or whenever I want to put down whatever book I'm reading and I just want kind of something to cleanse my reading palette. I'm not sure. So I don't have it on any TBR, but if I do start reading it more frequently than just dipping in and out of it, then I will let you guys know and my thoughts on that. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's vlog. I'm going to get a few things done today. I have to go get a haircut. My husband is gone doing a fantasy NFL draft with my family. He left at like 7 this morning. They were all having breakfast together, and then they were going to start the draft. I think they were going to, it was like at 10 o'clock, they were going to a pizza pub thing where my parents live, and they were going to do the draft there and then probably have pizza and beer and wings and everything for lunch. So I don't expect him to be here and be back until about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm just going to go do my hair, go to the post office, get a little bit of cleaning done this morning, get some reading done. I have yet to figure out what I'm going to pick up, so that's why I haven't told you. So tune into the next vlog to find out what I end up picking up. And then, you know, this afternoon I might just relax, get some reading done, and just go from there and wait for him to get home, because we have a few plans tonight with some friends online in our video game. So tonight's going to be devoted to that. But today I'm just going to relax. I'm going to let the heat exhaustion filter through me. I'm going to get a lot of water in me, a lot of electrolytes. I might even stop while I'm out and about doing my hair and my post office run. I might end up going and getting some, not Pedialyte, but my brother gets like this stuff that's called Gatorade Light, something. Anyway, it's like Gatorade with no sugar with electrolytes. So I might do that to kind of replenish myself so I feel better. But I will update you either tomorrow on Sunday, or if I end up making that a potato day and relaxing, then I'll update you on Monday. But I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I'm sorry that there wasn't very many updates throughout this week. Like I said, the heat got to me, so please forgive me on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts that were a jumbled mess. But definitely leave me some comments below. Have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy them and I didn't? Did you not like them and I did? Also, make sure that you head on over to my Patreon. We are getting ready to start September, which is a new book club pick month. And I have, you know, a thread going on there where you can give me some suggestions. I'm going to put up a poll to pick the next book. And aside from that, guys, I hope everyone is having a great week. Please stay hydrated, stay out of the heat if you have a lot of heat going on in your area, and I will catch you all next time. Bye!